Kind of a quick illustration of what we're looking for synergy-wise. Here's a case where I interviewed Google Director of Research, Peter Norvig. It's an article on my blog. I published what I hope is great content. Shared it not only on Google+, but Twitter and Facebook and all those. But I'm just using Google+ as an example. And the fact that I share good content on Google+ helped create new, I guess they're called followers. They settled on that term. But anyway, new followers, it got shared, it got +1s, and all that activity happened in publishing the great content enhanced my social media presence, helped grow that social media presence. But then the fact that I have the social media presence and I publish that actually comes back and drives traffic to the blog, to the article, get links, get new subscribers. The two things feed off of each other.
How much difference is it if you did that on Facebook versus Google+? How much more credits?
I'm just using this as an example.
Okay.
Applies equally. You should do it on every social media venue you're on.
But so Google's not giving more credence to that?
No. Here, this isn't yet SEO. This is just, hey, I'm growing my social media presence by creating great content, and my social media presence is giving me more readers for my content. Oh, the links is SEO, but I'll get to that a little bit more in a moment. So, yeah, you want to do that with all your social media presences. Okay, so now let's enhance this a little further. Here's my virtuous circle I just talked about. Well, who do I know in my industry who's a really smart, successful person who I can develop good relationships with, and influencers, you might call them. And so I have my own little virtuous circle here. And then because I know these are official influencers, by the way, that's well, just in case you. And if they share my stuff, it's even better, right? Because they have maybe a larger audience than I do. So this acts as an accelerator to this little virtuous circle that I have going on down here. And what I did here is I made a list of kinds of links that you won't get if you have this. And the reason why I'm listing links you won't get if you're doing this is because these are the kinds of links that algorithms like Penguin are trying to attack. So if you have that bad anchor text mix I talked about, if you've been submitting to all kinds of article directories, if you haven't, stop. If you're in more than 10 directories, stop. If you've been going and putting comments and blogs and forums that drop links back to yourself, stop that. Link networks, WordPress. Because these are all things. Reciprocal links aren't necessarily bad if you're swapping with somebody who's in your industry that you really know. But if you're swapping with unrelated businesses, stop. These are all things that are bad link practices. And you won't get any of those kinds of links if you're doing this. This stuff is pure as the driven snow from the point of view of building links because you shared it to an audience, you got other people who are influential to talk about you, you get links, you get all kinds of great stuff coming into your site. I already did that one. And here's the thing, you might have an audience like that, right? And maybe your audience is just as big, but it doesn't matter. The influencer has a big audience, and it's a different audience, right? And that's a very cool thing. And not only that, let's say you reach this dozen people here, and between them they all had 20,000 connections. And these aren't influencers. They're good people, but they're not influencers. And they might get 20 other shares and 10 links out of that. The influencer reaches the exact same audience. They get 5 times as much response. That's why we call them influencers, right? They're influential. People listen to them. And so this is the other thing that's really cool about influencers. And so now I want to create these relationships with influencers. So how do I go about doing that? Well, a really good way to do that is, well, come out and meet people, right? Face-to-face is awesome in terms of building relationships with influencers. It can be via email, it can be commenting on their blog with meaningful content, whatever. Whatever you do, make sure that you're doing everything you can to share their stuff and get the word out about them and help promote them. Don't be artificial about it, but a little pandering never hurt anybody. Well, not too much anyway. But it's also really important to give value to others, okay? And I'll illustrate it this way, because if I'd spent the whole presentation sitting here like this, talking to you the whole time, I think everybody in the whole audience would have noticed, including you, right? You can't do that, right? You have to be a part of the bigger community. You have to be communicating with everybody. So, and the influencer is going to notice that, right? If you're artificial about building a relationship with them, it's going to creep them out a little bit. So just be, a part of the larger community.
Don't be a stalker.
Don't be a stalker. Yes. Okay. Thank you for getting me the technical terms. Why did you come so easily to your list?
Because I've been stalking you for, 2 years to come down here?
Yeah. There you go. So, and then if you think about it, okay, I want to get somebody to link or share my content. And, here's just a way of looking at what drives that. Is it relevant to them? That obviously matters. Is it good? Influencer is a brand name. They're not going to share your crap, right? You have to give them something that, relevant to them, it's good. They have to become aware of it. If you put something on Twitter, it's gone in 5 minutes. So tweeting it once isn't necessarily going to get a lot of visibility, even if you have a lot of followers. So make sure you do the right things that they become aware of it. How much they trust you, if you're the author or the referrer, is a big deal. It also has to be unique, okay? If it's the 3,220-second mortgage calculator, nobody's going to share it, right? There's nothing new there, so you have to address it. This is actually a really big deal. This is where a lot of people fall down, right? It has to be different enough to be worth sharing. And then you want to understand how to create multiple impressions. I'm old enough to remember an old marketing rule that when something like the average sale was created out of 7 brand impressions. Okay? Who else in the room remembers that?
I do.
Don't be too embarrassed. No, see a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, it's really not any different. Okay? The more all this stuff is changing around us, the more it really isn't changing. Okay? So you have your own social media audience, and you can you broadcast to that, and maybe there's an influencer in there. You have some influencers you directly, like you call them, you email them directly, right? And then they share with their audiences, and maybe this potential linker might see it directly from here, and it might get it from someone here. And so you want to work this network so the people who are likely to give you a link are going to get information from multiple sources. And that's really an important formula. The other thing I touched on a little earlier, too, is this pyramid is really meant to show the most personal form of communication up top. Obviously, one-on-one is a very personal form of communication. Face-to-face being more so than a phone call, for example. Meeting, meetups, presenting in something like this, blogging, LinkedIn. Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you can't have a very directed relationship communicating just through Facebook. But chances are the volume of your communications through Facebook per user being reached is quite different than what you do up here. So just use this to your advantage. What it means is if there's a relationship which is a killer relationship for your business, get one-on-one, whatever it takes, right? I mean, this is old-fashioned marketing, but it's still true. So you want to reach linkers by multiple channels. It starts with creating a great content. Do we have a chief content officer in here somewhere? Oh, right there. Okay.
Our host.
That was a free plug right there.
Thank you.
Strong social media presences are great. For most of you, and this is what I was trying to get across earlier, it's really important to think about this as if I work this system so that I'm joining a community or creating my own community, having relationships with influencers, relationships with a lot of other people, and I create great content, I start creating this ecosystem where I can produce links to my site, which helps drive SEO. And by the way, the social media by itself is good. It's all working together in an integrated fashion. Okay? So as I said before, chances are that most of you aren't a beach body where you're going to get tons of customers directly out of social media. But you can use social media to create all these other things happening, which will bring you tons of customers from search engines. Okay, because those links are going to get you those customers from search engines. As I said, don't be afraid to hit the road. And also, the world we're living in, the rate of change of technology in search and social media and whatever else is accelerating. It's not slowing down. And I don't think it's going to slow down. I think it's going to continue to accelerate. So your channels and tactics may change over time, but the underlying point is the need to not only reach influencers, but have that community that you're building around what you do. That never changes. It's been true for hundreds of years. It's still true today. So you really still need to look at that as the sort of the top level thing you're trying to do with everything you're doing, right? Because it gives you security against whatever algorithm change that might happen. And as Matt Cutts says, again, in the interview I did with him, by doing things that help build your own reputation, you're focusing on the right types of activity. Those are the signals we want to find and value the most anyway. So if you're building your strategy this way, you're building your strategy to be in line with what Google is trying to do to decide who has the best sites. So that's it. Thank you.